C2 level vocabulary represents the highest tier of language proficiency in the Common European Framework of Reference (CEFR). At this stage, learners are expected to use language with precision, subtlety, and flexibility, often comparable to that of an educated native speaker. This kind of vocabulary goes beyond everyday communication. It allows speakers to express nuanced ideas, argue persuasively, and adapt their language to different contexts, whether formal, academic, or conversational. One defining feature of C2 vocabulary is precision. Instead of using general words, advanced speakers choose terms that capture exact meanings. For example, rather than saying, very big, a C2 speaker might say, enormous, immense, or colossal, depending on the context. Each of these words carries slightly different connotations, and understanding these subtle differences is key to mastering high-level vocabulary. Another important aspect is nuance. At the C2 level, words are not just about dictionary definitions, they also carry emotional tone, cultural context, and implied meaning. For instance, consider the difference between slim and skinny. Both refer to someone being thin, but slim is generally positive, while skinny can sound negative. A proficient speaker knows when to use each word appropriately to avoid misunderstanding or sounding insensitive. C2 vocabulary is also closely tied to idiomatic expressions and phrases. These are combinations of words whose meanings are not always obvious from the individual words themselves. For example, phrases like, put your thumb on the scale, to unfairly influence a situation, or, come to terms with, to accept something difficult are commonly used in advanced English. Learning these expressions helps learners sound more natural and fluent, as native speakers frequently rely on such phrases in everyday communication. In addition, contextual usage is essential at this level. Many advanced words can have multiple meanings depending on how they are used. Take the word subject, for example. It can refer to a topic of discussion, a person under authority, or even the main element in a sentence. Understanding how context changes meaning is a critical skill for C2 learners, as it allows them to interpret and produce language accurately in a wide range of situations. Another key characteristic of C2 vocabulary is the ability to adapt language style. Advanced speakers can switch between formal and informal language depending on the situation. For instance, in an academic essay, one might use words like significant, noteworthy, or substantial, while in casual conversation, simpler alternatives like important or big might be more appropriate. This flexibility demonstrates a deep understanding of language and its social functions. Moreover, C2 learners often use collocations, which are natural combinations of words that frequently occur together. For example, we say, make a decision, rather than do a decision, or strong argument, instead of powerful argument, in most contexts. Mastering collocations helps speech sound more natural and reduces awkward phrasing. Examples play a crucial role in understanding advanced vocabulary. Consider the phrase, let me put it this way. It is often used to clarify or rephrase an idea, especially when trying to make something easier to understand. For instance, the project might fail. Let me put it this way. Without proper funding, we have no chance of success. Here, the phrase introduces a clearer explanation. Similarly, the expression, subject to change, is commonly used in formal contexts to indicate that something is not final. For example, the schedule is subject to change depending on weather conditions. This phrase is particularly useful in professional or official communication. Another example is, pull out all the stops, which means to make a maximum effort. For instance, the team pulled out all the stops to finish the project on time. This phrase adds emphasis and makes the statement more vivid than simply saying, they worked hard. Learning C2 vocabulary requires consistent exposure and practice. Reading advanced texts such as academic articles, novels, and opinion pieces can help learners encounter new words in context. Listening to podcasts, lectures, and debates also provides insight into how advanced vocabulary is used in real-life situations. Importantly, learners should not just memorize words but actively use them in speaking and writing to reinforce their understanding. It is also worth noting that achieving C2 proficiency is not just about knowing many difficult words. It is about using language effectively, appropriately, and confidently. Overusing complex vocabulary can sometimes make communication unclear or unnatural. The goal is to strike a balance, using advanced words when they add value, but keeping language simple when clarity is more important. Conclusion: C2-level vocabulary represents a sophisticated command of language, characterized by precision, nuance, idiomatic usage, contextual awareness, and stylistic flexibility. By focusing on meaning, usage, and real-life examples, learners can gradually build the skills needed to communicate at this advanced level. With regular practice and exposure, mastering C2 vocabulary becomes an achievable goal that significantly enhances both understanding and expression in English.